Overnight news for you. 2 stabbings here in Albuquerque. Now 3 people are in the hospital, 2 of them in critical condition. We know one stabbing happened about 11:45 last night at the Court John Motel. It's here on 4th and Manal Northwest. Investigators are still trying to find out exactly what happened here, but we're told a man and a woman were both stabbed and rushed to the hospital. Officers have not said if they've arrested anyone there. And another man in the hospital, also in critical condition after being stabbed here at the Holiday Bowl. This is on Lomas near Louisiana. Police there say a fight happened. The man was stabbed and he later showed up at UNM Hospital with 3 other drunk guys. Officers are talking with them to try to figure out what went on. Elizabeth?
An APS special ed assistant and a state worker are among 21 people charged in a prescription drug ring. The men and women busted are accused of writing fake prescriptions for up to $1 million worth of painkillers. Now, most of the drugs were for oxycodone. The fake prescriptions were used at pharmacies around Albuquerque. Police are still investigating reports of a possible shooting after shots were heard near a school in Cuba, New Mexico. It happened just before noon yesterday. Someone reported hearing 3 gunshots and a person yelling for help behind a school. Because the community's 3 schools are close together, all of them were put on lockdown while multiple police agencies searched the area. They found no evidence of a shooter. Students were released at their normal time yesterday. A judge sets the date for a hearing to decide when a former cop has to head to prison. Brad Aaronsfield's hearing will be February 28th. Investigators say the former APD officer tipped off a friend about a federal drug investigation. He was convicted of obstruction of justice in 2010 and sentenced to 6 months in a federal lockup. A series of delays have kept him out of prison. He has filed a motion asking the judge for another 45 days to care for his girlfriend who has cancer. Prosecutors, however, are opposed to that.
New Mexico's Corrections Secretary is now turning up the heat on prison officers with more regular visits after a security team turns up some bad stuff during a surprise check at the state pen outside Santa Fe. Corrections security team got a tip, then went to the prison on Wednesday afternoon. It found a bunch of stuff that corrections officers are not supposed to have, including 2 George Foreman grills, movies in the control room. That's when those officers are supposed to be watching surveillance videos, and 3 cell phones.
I mean, we don't have to spend a lot of time talking about how much of a threat a cell phone could be in the hands of a prisoner, from ordering hits to drugs to you name it, threatening witnesses, victims. There's just too much there.
Corrections Secretary Greg Marcantel there is now launching an internal investigation into all of this. Well, new twist in the case of a home loan officer accused of murdering 2 clients near Albuquerque. Investigators say Ronald Santiago shot John and Bernadette Olamacher in their home here in Paradise Hills in 2005 because they discovered he was stealing from them. The case has been tied up for years by challenges to police searches of Santiago's home. Well, now prosecutors are investigating whether former Judge Pat Murdoch here, who ruled the search was illegal, personally knew Santiago before the murders, because Santiago, guess what, handled his mortgage. Murdoch resigned in 2011 after he was arrested accused of raping a prostitute. That charge was later dropped.
District attorneys are joining forces with lawmakers to try to get tougher on career criminals who use guns. Right now, the feds typically prosecute these crimes because the federal system carries tougher prison sentences. Now, District Attorney Karen Brandenburg says they're working to toughen state sentences for crimes committed with a firearm and for felons caught with a gun. Right now, it means an extra year in prison. The proposal is to increase it to 3 years for a second offense and 6 years for a third and subsequent offense.
The feds take the worst of the worst, but we have a middle ground here where we still have bad offenders that are a public risk, a risk to public safety as far as we're concerned. So we're trying to close that gap.
The legislation, House Bill 297, was just introduced by legislator and a former police officer, Bill Rem. Right now, it's being heard in committee. U.S. Senator Martin Heinrich is expected to address the New Mexico legislature today. He will be talking about economy and jobs in the state. Senator Heinrich will be talking at the state capitol around noon.
All right, we all know exactly how bad the flu can be during the winter, but did you know pneumonia can be even worse?
Yeah, 78 people have died from it in New Mexico in just the last few months. but there's a simple way you can try to protect yourself. News 13's David Romero is live in front of the Walgreens on Rio Grande and Central with details. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Elizabeth. Well, we all know this is one place that you can get a flu shot. It's also the same place you can get a pneumonia shot. Now, its clinical term is pneumococcal conjugate vaccine, or PCV13. It's been out for a while, and it's recommended for many different age groups, especially those with certain health risk factors such as leukemia and lymphoma, along with kidney problems. Now, the video you're looking at right now is of patients receiving the flu shot. Both react the same way in preventing the onset of a deadly illness. Now, secondary vaccination for pneumonia is called PPSV23. It's also recommended for some adults and children with certain risk factors, now especially adults 65 or older and those 19 or older. Pharmacists say it's a lesser known vaccine, but just as important, if not more, as the seasonal flu shot.
We have a wide variety of people who do come in after the age of 65 because it is recommended, especially by their physician, but we want people younger, between the ages of 19 and 64, to know that they also need their shot too if they have any health conditions.
Okay, now parents, listen up out there. If you have a child that has received the pneumonia shot before and they didn't react too well, and matter of fact may have had a life-threatening allergic reaction, make sure that they don't get it again. And if you have a kid that can receive it but is just coming off a cold, wait till they get better before you bring them in for that shot. Elizabeth, back to you.
All right. Thank you so much for David. Important information there. The pharmacist also tells us that pneumonia kills almost 1 in 30 cases.